Kelly Clarkson fired her manager over Blake Shelton. The text she showed NBC.
So apparently, something massive just went down inside NBC, and honestly, the entertainment world is never going to be the same after this. Kelly Clarkson, one of the most beloved and successful artists to ever come out of American Idol, has reportedly just done something so bold, so calculated, and so absolutely devastating that it has left Hollywood completely speechless. We are not talking about a simple celebrity dispute here. We are talking about alleged wage theft, secret deals, digital evidence, a possible FBI investigation, and a betrayal that goes all the way to the top of one of America's biggest television networks. This is the story that the blogs are dancing around, that the entertainment shows are too scared to cover properly, and that NBC's legal team has apparently been working overtime to suppress. Before we go any further, you need to understand something important. Everything you are about to hear is based on sources and alleged documents that have been brought to our attention. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This is an entertainment analysis of reported events, and we are presenting it as such. Now that we have that covered, let us get into it, because this story is something else entirely. And before we go any further, if you are new here and you enjoy content that digs deeper than the headlines, that asks the questions nobody else is asking, and that puts the pieces together in a way that actually makes sense, please subscribe right now. Hit that bell so you do not miss a single update on this story, because trust me, this is just the beginning. More is coming, and you are going to want to be here for it. Now let us rewind the clock about 72 hours, because to understand what happened inside that NBC conference room, you first need to understand what led up to it. It is November 17th, around 8:30 in the evening Pacific time. Kelly Clarkson's phone buzzes. The number is one she has never saved in her contacts, but the area code stops her cold. It's 615. That is a Nashville number, and not just any Nashville number, because her gut told her she had seen this number before, connected to her ex-husband, Brandon Blackstock. The message itself was short, just 6 words, but those 6 words reportedly sent Kelly's entire world spinning. The message read, "Check your husband's email now," and it was signed simply with the letter B. Now, most people in that situation might assume it's a prank. They might laugh it off, put the phone down, and go back to their evening. But Kelly Clarkson is not most people. Something in her gut told her this was real, so she went to Brandon's laptop, the one he had left at her house, the one he had apparently told her was completely clean and had nothing on it worth looking at. She opened it up, and there it was, a folder sitting right there, labeled BS Projects, BS standing for BlakeShelton. Inside that folder were 47 emails, 47, and these were not casual, innocent messages between colleagues. These were emails between Brandon Blackstock, Blake Shelton's team, and NBC's own head of talent. They covered a period stretching from March 2021 all the way through just the week before. But it was one particular subject line that reportedly made Kelly's hands start shaking. The subject read, "Kelly's contract extension. Blake's ultimatum." That was the moment Kelly realized she had not just stumbled onto some gossip, she had stumbled onto something that could bring down careers and contracts and potentially land people in serious legal trouble. According to sources who claim to have knowledge of the situation, those emails allegedly show that NBC had been paying Kelly's manager to keep her salary artificially lower than Blake Shelton's, not just by a little, but by $2 million less per season, and this had apparently been going on for 3 consecutive seasons. If you do the math, that's $6 million in total that Kelly Clarkson was allegedly denied, money that she had earned, money that she deserved, money that was quietly redirected, while the people around her smiled in her face and pretended everything was fair. Now, Kelly is smart. She did not panic. She did not fire off a public statement or call a lawyer and start making noise right away. She understood that if she went in too early, without the right ammunition, NBC would simply bury her in legal proceedings for years. Discovery phases in cases like this can drag on for a decade. She had seen it happen to other people in the industry. So instead, she did something far more calculated. She got strategic, she got patient, and she got ruthless in the best possible way. And further, After her divorce from Brandon Blackstock was finalized, Kelly had hired a forensic accountant. At the time, most people assumed it was simply part of the divorce process, standard practice when there is money involved and you want to make sure everything is being divided fairly. But according to sources, that was not the only reason she brought in the accountant. She specifically wanted someone to trace NBC's financial payments to her manager, and what that accountant found was staggering. Between 2021 and 2023, there were apparently $400,000 in consulting fees flowing from NBC directly to Blackstock Management. That is Kelly's own management company, run by her ex-husband's family, the very people who were supposed to be in her corner, fighting for her best interests. Here is why that matters so much. California law is very specific about this kind of arrangement. A manager is legally prohibited from accepting payments from an employer while simultaneously representing talent. It is a massive conflict of interest. It is not just an ethical violation. We are talking about potential criminal liability here, the kind of thing that can result in actual charges being filed. Kelly's lawyers sat her down and gave her the honest truth. He told her they could sue for $20 million, but the cost of that lawsuit would likely be her entire television career. NBC is one of the most powerful networks in the world. They have resources and connections that most people cannot even imagine. Going to war with them in open court would mean years of stress, massive legal fees, and the very real possibility of being quietly blacklisted from the industry. So Kelly chose a different weapon. She chose public humiliation, delivered in the most controlled, surgical, and unforgettable way possible. She chose the conference room. At 3 in the morning, Kelly reportedly sent a text to her manager, short, direct, and completely unapologetic. It said, "Meet me at NBC at 9 a.m. Bring your resignation letter." Now, the manager apparently read that message and assumed Kelly was either joking or just venting. He had probably seen her frustrated before. He probably figured he could show up, smooth things over, and walk out of there with everything intact. He had no idea what was actually waiting for him. He walked into that NBC conference room and found himself standing in front of 20 network executives, all of them staring at a giant projection screen. And on that screen were his own emails. His own words, his own deals, his own conversations, all laid out for everyone in the room to see. The text that was shown at the very beginning of all of this, the one that sparked the whole public conversation about this story, was apparently his panic response. He sent that text from inside the meeting, sitting right there in his seat, desperately trying to bluff his way out of a situation he had no way of escaping. But here is where the story takes an even more extraordinary turn. The real bombshell in that conference room was not the emails. It was a text message that Kelly plugged her phone into the projector to display. And this text was not from her manager. It was allegedly from BlakeShelton himself. It read, "Tell Kelly if she asks for more money, I am walking." And it was signed, BS. The room went completely silent, because BlakeShelton had absolutely no business being involved in any contract negotiation involving Kelly Clarkson. NBC's talent contracts contain strict anti-collusion clauses for exactly this reason. If Blake and Kelly's manager had genuinely conspired together to suppress her wages, that is not just a moral failing, that is a serious legal violation of the agreements both of them had signed with the network. But then came the detail that took everything to another level entirely. That text message from Blake did not appear to have come from his personal iPhone. Kelly's IT team had reportedly traced its digital fingerprint back to NBC's own internal Slack servers. It was a message that the manager had believed he'd deleted, probably thinking that was the end of it. But cloud backups do not disappear just because you hit delete. The message had been sent at 2:14 in the morning from what was traced to a home IP address. And the full message, the part that had not been shown publicly, reportedly said, "Miranda has the keys to the kingdom. Kelly is about to find out." Miranda, as in Miranda Lambert, BlakeShelton's ex-wife, the woman who, by many accounts, had never had any warmth for Kelly Clarkson since day one.
Kelly's team pulled the metadata from that Slack message. What they found connected it to a laptop registered to Blackstock Management, and when they checked the location history of that laptop, it had apparently been pinging off cell towers in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. That is Miranda Lambert's hometown. This changed everything about how the situation looked, because if this data is accurate, then BlakeShelton may not have even been the person driving this campaign against Kelly. It may have been Miranda, working together with Kelly's own manager, using Blake's name and identity as a tool to make it look like it was coming from him. Kelly's IT specialist reportedly believes that whoever was behind this was spoofing Blake's writing style, making messages appear to come from him when they actually didn't. Blake, it has been noted, is not exactly known as a technology wizard, but his manager, apparently, is a different story. Kelly's forensic accountant had also uncovered 3 other deleted Slack threads, all of them from times when Miranda Lambert had been performing within 50 miles of the manager's location. All of them referenced what was described as the Kelly problem. This was not a coincidence. This was reportedly a coordinated, deliberate campaign. It was designed to make Kelly look paranoid, to gaslight her, to make her doubt her own instincts, while the people around her worked quietly against her interests. And it allegedly came with a $6 million price tag attached to it.
Now, here is the recording. Because Kelly Clarkson did not just bring documents and digital logs to that NBC meeting, she brought audio. 3 weeks before the conference room confrontation, Kelly had allegedly been in her office with her manager, and he did not know he was being recorded. In that recording, he reportedly said, "Miranda is helping me. She wants Kelly off The Voice. You should too." If that recording is genuine and is what it is claimed to be, the legal implications are enormous. Miranda Lambert had been subpoenaed during Kelly's divorce case. She was under a gag order, meaning she was legally prohibited from discussing Kelly's employment in any way. If she violated that gag order by actively conspiring with Kelly's manager to interfere with Kelly's career, that is not just a civil matter. Witness tampering is a federal crime. Kelly did not hold on to that recording as leverage. She turned it over to the FBI, not to get a settlement, not to get an apology, to get a prosecution. At 10:15 in the morning, the manager was escorted out of the NBC building by security. His laptop was locked, his phone was seized, his entire digital footprint was taken into NBC's custody. He reportedly sent his resignation text from the sidewalk outside the building. Kelly, sources say, watched from the 14th floor. She did not respond to the message. Instead, she forwarded it to NBC's legal team with a single word: evidence. But the story did not end there, because there was still one more piece that Kelly's team had uncovered, and this one connected the dots in a way that nobody had anticipated. During those late-night investigation sessions, while going through emails scraped from Brandon Blackstock's cloud storage, Kelly's team found a message that Miranda Lambert's assistant had sent to Brandon. Miranda apparently never knew this email existed. It was only 11 words long, but those 11 words reportedly reframed the entire conspiracy. The email said, "She knows about the Gwen situation. Make sure Kelly doesn't find out." Gwen, as in Gwen Stefani, BlakeShelton's current wife, the woman who married Blake after his divorce from Miranda. So now we have a potential 4th player in this story, and the alleged motive is, when you think about it, almost poetic in a dark and twisted way. If the allegations are true, Gwen Stefani reportedly wanted Kelly Clarkson removed from The Voice, not out of personal hatred, but out of professional ambition. Kelly's presence on the show was a competitive force, and if Gwen could create enough chaos between Kelly and Blake, between Kelly and NBC, she might be able to position herself to take Kelly's seat at the table. According to the most dramatic claim in this entire story, a security camera video file was apparently sent to one of the people digging into this situation. The footage allegedly showed Gwen Stefani in the kitchen at Blake's ranch, on a speakerphone call with the manager. In the alleged transcript of that call, the manager reportedly told Gwen that Miranda was on board with a plan to frame Blake, make Kelly angry enough to quit, and clear the way for Gwen to take a more prominent role on the show.
Gwen's alleged response was to tell the manager to go ahead with the plan, but to make sure Blake never found out that it was she who had given the manager the passwords to Blake's digital accounts. If that is true, it means Gwen Stefani gave Kelly's manager the passwords to BlakeShelton's accounts. She let him into Blake's digital world so that messages could be sent in Blake's name, conversations could be staged under Blake's identity, and the entire operation could be run while Blake himself remained completely in the dark, thinking he was the victim of some kind of hacking incident, when the person responsible was actually sleeping next to him every night. Kelly reportedly sent Blake the security camera footage directly. His response, according to sources close to the situation, was chaos. Security was asked to leave the property. The gates at the ranch were locked. A black SUV was seen leaving at high speed. Whether it was Gwen or Blake behind the wheel, nobody could say for certain. But something had clearly broken open inside that house in a way that could not be put back together. Now let us talk about what all of this allegedly means going forward, because the consequences here are significant for everyone involved. For Kelly Clarkson herself, sources claim she has signed a new contract with NBC worth $18 million per season, plus back pay covering the $6 million she was allegedly shorted over 3 seasons. She reportedly used NBC's own legal team to negotiate the deal, which placed the network in the extraordinarily uncomfortable position of having to agree to her terms, because the alternative, allowing all of this to become fully public in a lawsuit, would have been catastrophically damaging to their reputation and their business. For the manager, the picture reportedly looks far grimmer. He has apparently been blacklisted not just from NBC, but from the broader Hollywood industry. The FBI allegedly moved to seize assets tied to his name, including a $4 million property in Beverly Hills and other holdings. His career, according to sources, is finished. The forensic trail that Kelly's team built over 11 months of careful, patient work made sure of that. For Miranda Lambert, sources claim she is currently under federal investigation for witness tampering and conspiracy. The alleged violation of her gag order from Kelly's divorce proceedings, combined with the recorded conversation in Kelly's office, has put her in an extraordinarily precarious legal position. Some sources have suggested this may be connected to the reported cancellation of her Las Vegas residency, which was attributed publicly to health concerns. Whether that is accurate or simply convenient timing is something only Miranda and her legal team know for certain.
For BlakeShelton, the situation is complicated in a different way. If he was genuinely unaware of what was being done in his name, he is a victim in this story, someone whose identity and reputation were weaponized by people around him without his knowledge or consent. But even if that is the case, NBC is reportedly in a difficult position when it comes to keeping him associated with The Voice going forward. The liability questions surrounding his involvement, even innocent involvement, are simply too significant to ignore. Either way, the career he has built over more than a decade on that network appears to be at a crossroads. And then there is the question of Gwen Stefani, who, if the most explosive allegations in this story are accurate, may have set the entire thing in motion from the very beginning. If she genuinely provided access to Blake's accounts, if she really did sit in that kitchen and give the go-ahead to a plan designed to destroy Kelly's position at the network, while simultaneously keeping Blake distracted and in the dark, the legal and personal fallout from that could be catastrophic. Some sources have speculated about what it might mean for her marriage, her career, and her standing in the entertainment world if these allegations ever become part of a formal legal proceeding. What makes this whole story so remarkable is not just the scale of what allegedly happened, it is the way Kelly handled it. She did not go to the press immediately. She did not post a vague, emotional statement on social media. She did not let her anger drive her decisions. Instead, she spent almost a year quietly building a case, hiring the right people, gathering the right evidence, and waiting for exactly the right moment to act. And when she acted, she did it in a room full of the most powerful people at one of the biggest networks in the world, with all the evidence right there on the screen, leaving absolutely no room for denial or escape.
She reportedly turned the FBI recording over without hesitation, knowing that doing so meant giving up any leverage she might have held over Miranda or the manager in a private negotiation. She chose accountability over personal advantage. She chose to let the legal process do what it is supposed to do, rather than using the evidence as a private bargaining chip. That decision says a great deal about who Kelly Clarkson is and what she values, beyond the fame and the contracts and the television ratings. There is reportedly still one more piece of this story that has not yet been fully revealed. The file that was allegedly sent, labeled Insurance Policy _1, suggests that what has already come out may not be the entirety of what Kelly has in her possession. The number 1 implies a number 2, and possibly more beyond that. What those additional files might contain and what Kelly plans to do with them remains to be seen. NBC has not issued any public statement about the specifics of what allegedly took place in that conference room. Their silence on the matter has been interpreted by some as confirmation that the situation is as serious as the sources are claiming, and that the network's lawyers are working around the clock to contain whatever fallout might still be coming. What is clear from everything that has emerged so far is that Kelly Clarkson walked into a situation that would have broken most people, a situation involving betrayal from people she trusted, financial theft from people who were supposed to protect her interests, and a coordinated campaign to undermine her position at the network she had helped build into what it is today. And instead of being broken by it, she turned it into the most powerful move of her professional life. She did not just protect herself, she allegedly dismantled the entire system that had been working against her, piece by piece, document by document, email by email, Slack message by Slack message, until there was nothing left to hide behind and nobody left to run to. NBC could not ignore it. The FBI could not ignore it. The people who thought they had her cornered found out very quickly that they had actually cornered themselves. The next 72 hours in this story are reportedly going to be significant. More information is expected to come out, more responses from the parties involved are anticipated. And if the pattern of the last few days is anything to go by, each new development is likely to be bigger and more surprising than the last. Stay close to this channel, because as soon as anything new breaks on this story, you are going to hear about it here first. Kelly Clarkson did not just survive this. By every account that has come forward, she won, completely, absolutely, without any doubt whatsoever. And somehow, in the middle of all the chaos and the betrayal and the legal maneuvering, she managed to do it in a way that will be talked about in Hollywood for a very long time.